Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen. Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Welcome to another week. Something beautiful happens when you begin to question things in your life. Actually, we're supposed to. I don't mean asking rhetorical questions that get you nowhere, but questioning life in such a way that allows you to open up your mind and heart to what's possible. Isn't that what life is all about? More often than not, I have clients seek me out because they say that they feel undirected and sometimes lost in their lives, and they don't know what next steps to take to get clear on their path and purpose, and they want me to help them figure that out with them. They, just like all of us, are looking to bring meaning, purpose, and fulfillment into their everyday living, right? We're all looking for that. Haven't been down that path of I'm not sure what my big purpose is in this world myself. I could totally relate to their need to know. And it's actually essential to identify your soul's calling and purpose, because then you can not only help yourself, but also help others in the greater good. And once we know where we stand in our own lives, we can then begin to create a legacy from which others can benefit. And this may sound odd, but I love it when clients come to me confused about what they should be doing with their lives, because their confusion is like a blank slate to me. Ready for an outline, flashes of color, coupled with their life story. And as a therapist, my job is to ask questions that not only challenge their mind, but also get them to think differently, to consider other options other than the ones that their mind has come up with. And questions are my means to that end. When I often question clients, I'll say this, and I mean this from my heart. I don't want you to change how you think. I'm not here to convince you out of any way of believing. But are you open to thinking about something else? Are you open to considering a different way of looking at something? Again, you don't have to change your beliefs, but would you be open to looking at something different? 10 out of 10 times, even if they are so freaking convicted, they're like, okay. And I think because I say to them, you don't have to give up your position, there's something safe about that. And I find that once I get the yes, then somehow they allow themselves to literally consider thinking in a different way. And as I think of the kinds of questions I ask my clients, I'm reminded about a speech made by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Montgomery, Alabama on August 11th, 1957. Dr. King in his speech talked about conquering self-centeredness. And this speech about conquering self-centeredness referenced one single question that essentially capsizes all self-centeredness. Dr. King's speeches, they have always been written and spoken with such certainty and conviction, and are still and will always be poignant, powerful, and profound. And in this particular speech, Dr. King talks about the most persistent and urgent question each of us must ask ourselves if we're to get out of our own way and step out of only focusing on ourselves. Here's a direct quote from his speech that day. In a sense, every day is Judgment Day, and we, through our deeds and words, our silence and speech, are constantly writing in the book of life. Light has come into the world, and every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or the darkness of destructive selfishness? This is the judgment. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? For me, I seek inspiration wherever and whenever I can get it. I'm on the hunt for it always. And it matters not where it comes from. When I came upon this quote, I literally stopped in my tracks as it was a significant reminder to me of what Spirit has been saying to me my entire life. Janis, as you solely focus on your divine life's purpose to serve others in your highest capacity, all will make sense. You are here to effect positive change in this world. And I accepted that. I still do. And I know that is my calling. Dr. King's quote hits home for me very deeply. There's nothing greater to do or to be in life other than being of service to others. To get out of your own mind mess and believe that the world revolves around you. Y'all got to get out of that craziness. I don't know the age range of all the listeners on this podcast, but I would bet that if you're in your 30s and up, you're listening to the messages that I offer weekly. Then there's a part of you, or maybe the entirety of you, that knows that life is the sum of all parts, not just one part standing out. Walk in the light of creative altruism or the darkness of destructive selfishness. Wow. When your burning desire lives in the place of having selfless concern for others, rather than a selfish concern for yourself, life takes on a vastly different vibe and meaning than the other way around. If you're a seeker of something bigger, if you crave clarity about your life's purpose, if you feel compelled to become greater than who you are at this point in your life, then you must ask yourself the question Dr. King asks of all of us. What are you doing for others? If you do for others with expectations of getting anything back, then your motives aren't pure. They're toxic. If you give to give, not give to get, then you're on the right path, my friend. While each of us does need to find our way, uncovering our truest and highest expression of ourselves, it is imperative that as you travel along your path, you expand your view of the world to include everyone else around you. It's imperative that you pan back your camera lens and see where you could help someone out today, tomorrow, and for all of your tomorrows. We're all designed to give to others. Sometimes it takes some radical things to happen to us for our vision to be stretched to consider how others might benefit from what it is that we have to offer. I remember interviewing Dr. Nelson Bulmash. I ended up connecting with him. He had me on his show to talk about my book. And we sat for a couple hours prior to my guest spot, and he was sharing a story with me. And he shared this story back before, of course, his wife now. They've been married for, I think, almost 30 years. He was dating this woman. And I think they might have been living together at the time, can't remember. But they connected one night. And she noticed that he was not happy, like there was something awry. And she said, "Baby, what's going on?" And he said, "I don't know." And she knew him well enough to say, "Have you helped somebody today?" And he looked at her and he said, "No." And you know what she did? She said, "You need to go back out and do that. Don't come back until you've done that." And he did. And he went and got a couple of meals, to-go meals, and he found some homeless people, and he gave them food. I bring that story up because what ended up happening, when he got back to his girlfriend at that point, she looked at him and she goes, "Now there you are." That's him. He is, honest to God, one of the biggest hearts I've ever met. And early on, you can You can see and listen. Actually, you can listen to his podcast episode about how he survived cancer and all these other things. But he is an absolute amazing individual. He's a chiropractor, but also does nutritional response testing and really helps people truly in so many ways. He has more modalities than I could even begin to tell you about how he helps people. But it drives home my point. What are you doing for others? Each of us is gifted with unique characteristics, qualities, and life experiences. What have you been through and overcome that you could help somebody else who's just beginning their journey? We have so-called experts in this world for a reason, not because those experts are any better, smarter, or more equipped to deal with or do this thing called life. But the experts out there are skilled. They're skilled in what they do. And they're there for all of us to seek out and learn from, and then make our own mark on the world. The world would stop if reinvention weren't possible anymore. So I ask you, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. asked all of those who listened to his speech that day, August 11th, 1957, what are you doing for others? If you don't know or have no idea how to even begin to answer this question, look at your life and the people in it. The people in your neighborhood, places you worship, friendship groups, the downtrodden, the needy, the forgotten, and find a way to give of yourself every day. We are all obligated to care for one another. We are not obligated to just care for ourselves, even if we will never see each other again. So what are you doing for others? Let the doing for others begin with you. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and always live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.